Good morning, Rabbi Isai. Wow, beautiful. Shkoyach. We're here, we're doing Daf Yud Aleph, and taxi is coming in 30 minutes, or maybe a little less. So we're going to try to do as much as we can because our flight was delayed. This wasn't on the plan. Baruch Hashem, we're able to do most of today's shir in the Beis Medrash. Emails and other stuff, hopefully we'll do somewhere else, maybe on the way to the airport, in the airport, we'll see. Svir Sa'imer was L'Refuas Hadmar Mevish Shlita, K'vay Kedushas Mar Rabbi Yisrael ben Leas, L'Refuah Shleima. Svir Sa'imer, Aaron and Kayla Miriel Stein, in honor of our children, Shalom Shachna and Yitzchok Zev Stein, and our nephew, Mendel Stein, upon completing the first week of Daf Yomi. There's always a beginning, and Be'ez Hashem, you stick to it. It takes time to learn how to stick to it, but once you stick to it for a while, it becomes part of you. Official edition of the Waishas, the Masechta, Zev and Yal Shulhof, Perek, the Benedict family. Official edition of the Waishas, Daf Yud Aleph by Mordechai Sepaznik, the Zeich and Ishmael for Yisrael, Aryi, Ben Yisrael, Yishayo, Sepaznik, Zichron Bracha. The Masechta sponsored, the actual, not the official edition. The Masechta is sponsored by David Salom and dedicated in memory of Avi Moirib Shmuel Baruch, Berem Chaim Tzvi Dov Zichron Livracha, the Palchik Family Foundation, in gratitude to the consortium and the alliance and all they do to support MDY. Anonymous, Hatzlacha Baruchnius Ubegashmius, and thank you to Chief Benny. Anonymous for complete refuah shleima and arichas yom to Leah Bas Esther and Binyamin and Daniela Rosenfeld Brios V'Simcha. The monthly sponsors are Simon, the refuah shleima Avi Mari Baruch Ben Miriam, Binyamin and Daniela Rosenfeld, Parnasa B'Shefa. Weekly sponsors Yumi Fai, the Nishmas Shendel Basaravi Chil Mechal Shalom Yortzed is on like Boimer. Daily sponsors today anonymous for the merit of the David Ben Miriam for finding his zivug in a future yeshivish family. Interesting. Zeli Kahan, in honor of our dear father, Shver Zaidi, Ramoy Steinberg's 60th birthday. Hashtag #1 MDY fan. Coil sponsors for the month, HYK Ventures in the schus for success of all of our clients. Binyamin and Daniela Rosenfeld, Bracha B'Parnasa. Innovations LLC as a schus for Akiva Simcha Ben Feigo, Yishkoyach, and Rivka Yehudas Bas Yafachaya, Omein B'Karov. MDY Coffee Corner month, covered at Tefillah Committee, Dalef Nimiyat Toimed. MDY Art month, L'Refuah Shleima Yonatan Edem B'Sheva Bracha. L'Refuah Shleima Mordechai Ben Esther. V'Sayel Daniel Zev Ben Ayelet Esther. Rabbi Isai, exciting sugya today. Very gishmak. We constantly talk about the concept of roiv. Roiv. There's halachach roiv. There's bittul baroiv. There's Rubik Kuloi, there's all types of roiv. But where's the source? The source is in Chullin, Daf Yud Aleph. It's actually in the Torah. Torah tells us the pasuk. But there's a roiv that's not really in the Torah that we have to figure out. The Gemara says, Minaham milsid Amar Rabbanon zil basaruba. Where do we know when Rabbanon say that you should go with the majority, the roiv, the majority? You always go with the majority. Batal baroiv. Everybody knows batal baroiv because it's a great heter. You got some food and it fell out. Batal baroiv. Rabbanan say that you use roiv. Minalan. What do you mean minalan? D'chsiv achirav lahatis. 3 words in the pasuk tell you that you should always go with the majority. Says the Gemara, no. Ruba the Isaac Haman. Kigoin Tesha Chanuyas v'Sanhedrin. There's simple ones. There's a roiv that's in front of you. But I want to tell you better than in front of you. The idea of Ruba the Isaac Haman, it could be explained in a simpler term. Ruba the Isaac Haman means when you can count it. It's in front of you where you can count. That's what it means, it's in front of you. Where I could look at it and say, look, there's 9 kosher stores and 1 non-kosher store, so it's a roiv that I see. That's in the Torah. Achirav and lahatis. When there's a bezdin of 23, and 12 say chayiv, and 11 say potter. So we go with the 12, we can count. 1, 2, 3, we could count. That's the Isaac Hamon. The 9 stores, here's the 9 stores. The famous case, you find a piece of meat, it always drove me crazy. You find the piece of meat, where's the hechsher? Doesn't say, okay, fine, no hechsher. But we can assume that it's from one of these kosher stores and not from Esposito's I don't know what, this prime Italian meat place. Yeah. Kigoyin Tesha Chanuya is a Sanhedrin. Like a that I never had an issue with. But my big problem was Ruba de Lesa, come on. What about when it's something that you cannot count? It's a roiv, it's a known roiv. Kigoyin Katan Uktana Minolam. What's Katan Uktana? The famous case, we actually just discussed it. But Yibum. We have two brothers. This is Shaya's father when he was really young. Shaya is sitting here. Last year, this is Avi Kamyansky when he was younger, when he had no hair, when he was, and this is his older brother, Noam Fix, who's in the other share, Gishmak. So now, what happened was, Noam Fix marries a 5-towner, mamish like his wife today. Those who know his wife, no, she might actually be from the 5 towns. Is she from the 5 towns? She's from Queens. Queens, yeah, but she's not a big shopper. Oh look, or she's a ktana. She has toys. Wow, I didn't even have that. Murdik. So if the Yavama, so what happened? Now one of the brothers goes bye-bye. Now, this is an extreme case. Either one of them is a katan, not both of them, okay? Either the Yavam is 11 years old, or the Yavama is 10 years old, whatever it is, one of them is a katan. Now, what's the problem? The problem is, perhaps when this guy gets older, not him, a guy gets older, a kid gets older, maybe he won't be able to have kids, maybe he's a saris, and a saris would be asr, issa deraisa, to marry his sister-in-law. You're never allowed to marry your sister-in-law. The only time there's one exception to the rule for Yibum. But that's only if you could be making Shem Lachiv. If you could have children. If you can't have children, then it's not Negeh. So maybe I should be Chayshish. Just what? I'm not Chayshish. Why am I not? According to Rameir, I am. According to Chacham, not. Why not? Because I go with the Rav. Says Gemara, how do I know that idea? Omer Rebbe Lazar, Simin, Zman Shevach, Mechanesh. So these are Rosh Tevis for 10 Amoraim. Each one is going to give us another idea. All of them are basically pushed off. And at the end Rashi says, we have to come on to Allah Moshe Messinai. Says the Gemara, Asya Mereisha Shalayla. Every morning in the Beis HaMikdash we bring a Oyla, a Tamid, the head of the Oyla. So as we know, we take there's 13 Kohanim that take these pieces, and each one they cut it up, and one Kohen holds the head of the animal in his hand. The head of the animal you can't chop up into pieces. Why? You can't chop up a head. You have to hold it. You have to have it whole. The problem is perhaps there's a lining, a membrane around the brain. It's called a krum, like a plastic bag. And if it has a hole in it, that's a treifa. It's one of the 18 treifas. As we're going to see throughout the Masechta, there's 18 treifas. One of them is krum shamayach. Maybe this animal has a hole in its membrane. It sounds like something somebody would say, you have a hole in the membrane. I don't know. You have a hole in the membrane, and then it makes it what?
A hole in your head.
Hole in the head. Allah in the cup. Allah in the membrane. Allah in the membrane. And therefore it's a treifa. How do I know it's not? Now, I can't go in there and do an autopsy. Why? I can't do an autopsy. Why can't I do an autopsy? Because then I'm breaking the head open, and it has to be whole. Here is the membrane from Kol HaLashon around the brain. Now let me show you even something better. It's also from Kol HaLashon. Now I just have to warn people, if you're not into this stuff, we'll see in a second. Warning. I had a much worse one, but they did it in a nice way. Mamish clean, the whole thing, great. Says Gemara, Mimai. Dilma, who told you? Who told you that you can't check the brain? There's a way to check the brain without chopping up the head into pieces. Dilma the falile, ubadiklei. I thought maybe the word fali is like fillet, that you cut it open. 1L, F-I-L-E-T. V'imshum oisel sachar, or F-I-L-L-E-T, if you want to say it like that. That's your prerogative. Or or you could say fillet without a tiatan. Either way,
It's the committee to decide.
it's okay. I can say anything I want because I once said it's the epic center. Mashruka said, okay, so my daughter had a good laugh for a year, and then she forgot about it. Once in a while, she reminds me. Now, the two guys that were basically born here in Israel don't really. Shai, you got the epic center joke?
No.
I didn't think so. Your father will explain to you.
He wasn't born here.
He wasn't born here, but he was a little kid when he got here.
And when he was at the Epic
Epic.
Center.
It's epic. What?
And when he was at the Epic Center, he was a little kid.
Yeah, exactly. Epic Center, the way you spell epic is with a C at the end. E-P-I-C. I said epic center, but it's epicenter. That's how you say. Okay, the Americans make fun. Says the Gemara, this isser of cutting up the head, cutting it up to pieces if you cut it completely. Check this out. Here's the palile.
זהו המוח.
He made a cut on the top. If you're grossed out from these things, don't look.
חציו של המוח.
That's the brain.
חצי השני בצד הזה של
He's going
הקדרה.
to zoom in to show you the membrane around the brain.
התחתון. כמו שאתם רואים, הוא מלא בנימי דם,
It's like a plastic bag around the brain. It's unbelievable.
בקרום של מוח שמטריף, זה בעיקר בקרום
Come
הזה.
straight if there's a little hole there.
הקרום העליון הוא קצת יותר עבה מהקרום התחתון. הקרום התחתון הרבה יותר עדין, אבל הוא המשמרת הגדולה של המוח.
Okay. But what we saw here is that he cut where his hands are in. How are his hands inside this guy's head? Because he made a nice cut. But the bottom is all intact. The side is intact. You see where it's brown all the way to the right side of the screen? It's intact. Just what? He sliced it open. That's okay. That's not in the Nesachim. It's not. It's still whole. Says the Gemara, thank you. My brother Vino Omar. Okay. Akol Panim. I don't have a raya from here that I'm going with the roiv. Why? Because perhaps he does check. Maybe you're mechuyev to check every single morning, every single evening, every carbon oil that comes onto the mizbeach. Every carbon, I should check the membrane of the brain. The membrane of the brain. Another raya. I learned it from breaking the bones on Pesach. Why? It says on Pesach, should we show this? I don't know if it's like, yeah, as I'm talking. It says by the Korban Pesach, you're not permitted to break any bones. So it's the same right that we brought a second ago. Maybe the brain, the membrane around the brain has a hole in it. And therefore what? It is a treifa. And you can't check it out because you can't do the trick that we said before. What was the trick before? That you're going to slice the skull open and peek inside. You can't do that with the Korban Pesach. Why? Because you can't break any bones. But for that I do have a eitzah. What's the eitzah shaya? What's the shaya? What can I do?
From the bottom.
Stick your hand in and go in?
You know, inside the skull.
No, but what about the spine and everything else? It's not going to break. It's not. You're not. Okay. There's a better eitzah. Yeah, but if you do that, you're probably going to puncture the membrane. You want to get to the membrane and look. So the way to do it is with burning it. If you make a burn through the skull, that's okay. You can burn your way through. Maybe put a coal on it, and you burn your way through, and it burns the skull, and then you can check it. Because it says, now it's also to cut bones, but what about sinews that are similar to bones? That's okay in the Korban Pesach. It's also okay to burn the bones of a Korban Pesach. Ein boy mishum shvira says that's not considered breaking bones. Memela, I don't have a raya. Maybe he did check. Maybe everybody's mechuyev to check the membrane of the brain through burning your way through there. No raya that we could rely on Rav. Rav Nachman Yitzchak Omar Asim Aliyah. I'm going to bring a raya from the tail. Domer Achmana Chelboy Ha'alya Tmima. The halacha is that every carbon that's eaten like a shlamim chatas and asham, you put the tail, the chaylev, the fat of the aliyah. Let's show the aliyah again. Here we go. Onto the mizbeach. Now, by doing that, by putting the tail onto the mizbeach, l'chayra, you are severing, perhaps you're severing the spinal cord. And by severing the spinal cord, you're making it a treifa. That's one of the 18 treifas, the spinal cord. So here's the chut hashedra. Let's see. Chut hashedra. Some beautiful stuff today, all new for today. We have a 3D of the spine. That's the spine. But inside the spine, it protects that white chut hashedra, which we know is the whole. Yeah, but what does the spinal cord do? The nervous system. The nervous system. Says Gemara, I should be concerned for the chut hashedra, for the spinal cord that's inside this tail. No, we're going to go with the Rav, and it's usually not an issue. Maybe you'll tell me, you know why it's not an issue? Because I'm cutting the tail lower down on the spine, and over there, I'm not so concerned about the spinal cord. If I do detach the spinal cord, that's not a treifa. That's a whole sugya. The spinal cord has like we will see pictures later on, of where the spinal cord, the nervous system splits. It has like different, what's the word here? Here like this. Like you see that split over there, so there's more of that. At a certain point, you could cut the spinal cord and nothing will happen to the animal. We see it with animals, certain animals, you cut their tail, like Doberman pinchers, you cut the tail and nothing happens.
That thing at the bottom.
What?
The thing at the bottom of the spinal cord that comes out, it's called the quad equina.
Quad equina?
That's what it's called.
Quad is 4? That's why it's called quad?
No, I don't think it's spelled with a Q.
No?
It's like caught like with a C.
Oh, interesting. Okay. How do you know that? From one of your cases?
One of my cases, yeah.
Interesting. What, one of your chevra had a tail?
No, it's a tailbone. The humans have it also.
You have a tailbone.
Okay, so we said this.
To be defended Vashti.
Omar Rahmana.
Whoa.
No. So this is going to blow you away. This is mamish, unbelievable. Lu'uma sa'atzam Rahmana. Where do you cut this aliyah from? All the way from the kidneys. Check it out here, the kidneys, beautiful. Look at this. Moiridik. Look at that. From right over there. So you have to take the tail from up there. If you're going to cut it from where those kidneys are, of course you're going to, if you sever the spinal cord, you cause serious damage. That's a real treifa. Doesn't get any worse.
The issue is not cutting it after the shechita. The issue is that you
No.
You have to check it after. Right.
You won't, right. You're not going to be able to check it.
at that time.
No, so this is for them.
If you cut, if you have to take that part from the klois all and put it on the mizbeach, how are you going to check? How are you going to check whether or not the spinal cord is severed later on? Says Gemara, yeah. Luma sa'atzam rachmana. Mokim shaklois yaetzois. Remember, there's a whole thing here that you see that animals also have eitzah. They take. They're thoughtful. They think about the Rebbeinu Shalom. They're simple slaves to the Rebbeinu Shalom. Okay. Huh? The what?
The animal wouldn't eat.
What is that? All animals. What does the yoyatz mean? It gave eitzah. Okay, they take eitzah.
Is the Lumas down from the kidneys down on the spine, or it's across?
What do you mean? It has to be across. No, I don't know what you mean by down.
Diagram you showed.
I would say it's from. I'm not a big mumcha, but wherever that is, from that point down, no, to the right of the kloyas.
Straight line, horizontally, you're saying.
Kimat, yeah, which is kind of like where that bone is, where that thigh bone hits, like somewhere over there, no? Like over here in this area.
But you're not going to where the kidneys are. You're just going to run the line straight
Behind it.
You're cutting the alley off.
Is it? I think the kidney is just to tell you where you should draw your line up.
You're going up. That's what I was saying. You're going straight. That's what.
What do you mean straight? Like this way?
You're cutting off half the spine if you're doing.
Exactly. That's the whole point. That's the whole point. You're cutting off that whole spine, and you're putting that whole part of the spine on the mizbeach. That's all part of the tail, so to speak.
I'm saying the Chodesh goes also into the vertebrae of the alien. That's what I'm just trying to figure out.
Of course it goes. That's the whole nikuda. The Chodesh goes all the way from there, all the way down into the tail. Now, if you cut it lower down from the tail, it's not the end of the world. Nothing will happen to the nervous system of the animal, because that's already a weaker part of the spinal cord. But where the kidneys are, that's a main part of the spinal cord, and that will make it certainly make it treifa. Now, if you're taking all that and you're putting it on the mizbeach, you're not going to be able to check it. That's the Gemara. Why can't you check it? Maybe you open it up and check it. It has to be whole. The life less number. Maybe you just slice it open and check to see, make sure that the whole cord is intact from that point on. So maybe I don't have a great raya. I learned from the Eglah Rufa. What's Eglah Rufa? If they find a body between two cities, and Yoshi made a brand new one just for today, so you don't know where the killer came from. So they do medidos. And then they have to bring a calf. And they do a little chopping to the head, not a big deal. And it has to be nachalison in the river.
ידינו לא שפכו את הדם הזה, ועינינו לא ראו.
כפר לעמך ישראל.
Oh, he added it. In the Hebrew, I didn't stop it. I just said ara. Maybe you listened. In the Hebrew, which was literally 40 minutes ago, less, I said chaval. They didn't see kapel amcha because the Gemara is going to bring it right now. Dave, you told him to do that.
I was listening to the whole shit.
Oh, Kobe was here. Kobe was here, and Kobe told him. Okay, I got it.
Voice in the AI, you can hear us over that.
Yeah, they changed
It's a
the.
recurring voice, not the first one.
The button is also better. Works automatically, it talks to Yoshi.
Yeah, sure. Asi Megillah Rufo. Rav Shimon ben Reder Rav Yidom Asi Megillah Rufo. We learned from Megillah Rufo. The what? Amar Rachmano Har Rufo Kishi Shnei Heavy. This calf has to be whole. V'leichosh as the Gemara of Dilma Treifa. When you chop its head off, maybe you chopped off a head of an animal that's a treifa. It must be that we go with most animals. Most animals are not treifas, and male is good. But what's the difference if it's treif or not? It's not a carbon. You just chop its head off. No. The fact is, it says in the pasuk by Eglah Rufa, "Kaper la'amcha Yisrael." So what?
I agree.
So what? This is more important. They could leave. They could go. Tell them to go. But they don't do anything to the VIP service. Garnished. I don't. This is more important. Yeah.
Right there, go. Keep going.
And what are you going to do? Wait in the. I'm saying wait in the airport 40 minutes, Tom.
We're going right. We're doing this here.
Yeah.
We just did that.
Okay. But anyway, we have to leave in 10 minutes anyway. That's what he's saying. It's enough. Give me 10 minutes. Fine. So let's see what we can do in 10 minutes. No, it has to be no treif on it because it says the word kapara. Another ayah, Rabbi Shilo Amar Asim Paraduma. We're learning from Paraduma. Domar Rachmana. V'shochat v'soraf. What's the Paraduma? The Paraduma is the red heifer that it doesn't have any white hairs or anything like that. It's pure red. What do you do with it? You burn it. Use the ashes to mix with water, which we sprinkle on somebody who became tummy from a dead person. Let's see how that looks. Back in the day, it looked like this. This is earlier. You can see the eyes of the animal opening and closing. By the way, this reminds me, I think they just found a guy that did the Palisades fires. How many, 6,000 homes were burned, 12 people died. He lit it on purpose. They found him. I heard this week they found him. Okay. Do'amar Achmana v'shochav v'saraf. Mashchitasa k'shishleima, afsrifasa k'shishleima. It has to be whole without a treifa. You go with the roiv. It's a treifa? No, roiv. It's not a carbon. It is a carbon. Why? Because we call it chatosi. It's like a carbon. Oh, I just want to point out a gewaldige kasha from Taisus. Were you here for the Hebrew shiur also?
Yeah.
You didn't understand anything. Okay. So Taisus asked a great kasha. Were you here? So the who? Me?
No, not you. Somebody else. My brother. From another mother. Weiter.
Okay, weiter. Taisus asked a great kasha. How old is a para aduma? It has to be in the second year. That means it lived 12 months. If it lived 12 months, then it can't be a treifa. Elamai, it became treifa later. Okay, then it had a chazaka, the mikara. It went at least 12 months of its life without being a treifa. So you're concerned that maybe it developed a treifa. Too bad on you. I have a chazaka that's not a treifa because I can prove that it wasn't a treifa for the first 12 months of its life. So zok the Gemara. I'll prove it to you from the two goats of Yom Kippur. One, we throw off a cliff, and one, we do the avodah in the Beis Hamikdash. Here. You do a goyrol, you see which one, either one could be whatever, could be the carbon, Lashem. You tie a red thing to its head, you tie a red thing on a stone. Oh, 1 minute. I want to point out here that when we throw him off the cliff, as you can see from the video, his body is going to disintegrate into many pieces. And they wave flags, white flags, from one tower to the other. This is very important, this right over here. Boom! As Benny pointed out, that these mountains have a lot of points on them. You get it? Pointed out, there's a lot of points on it. There's a white, there's a lot of Iraq. And that string turns, if there's a kapara, it turns from red to white. So the Gemara, we learn from Sar Mishalech. We should take two of them, they should both be equal. As the Gemara, perhaps one of them is a treifa, and therefore what? The one that fell off the cliff is a treifa. You have to go with the majority. In the majority, they're not treifas. Who cares? It's not a carbon. It fell off the cliff. Anyways, it's gonna, like my mother used to tell me, what difference if the cookie's broken? You're gonna chew it up, and it's broken anyways in your mouth. So here also, who cares if it's a treifa? You're throwing it off a mountain while it's alive. It's breaking up into pieces. The Gemara says, no, it's a big nafkamina because the one that you throw off a mountain has to be ra'ui to be a carbon. And you'll tell me that what? That after it gets down to the bottom of the mountain of the cliff, you'll pick it up and check to see that it's not a treifa, but nana. We learned in the Mishnah. It only went halfway down the mountain. In a bunch of pieces. Therefore, you can't check it. Fine. This is gewaldic. If somebody hits his father and causes him to bleed, not that anybody in this room ever did that. The Torah says, I'm not talking to you. Don't worry, I'm talking to us all. You're all getting nervous. Who's he talking about? No, Baruch Hashem. The Torah says you kill this person. But listen to the question. This is going to blow your mind. How do you know he's your father? How do you know he's your father? Your mother can prove it. But how can you prove that's your father? Maybe there's another father involved there. So you have to use the roiv. This is the husband that was there from the beginning. So most likely, yeah, you're right. It's very possible that somebody else. In certain communities in America, whatever. But in our community, it's not so shkia, so we don't know what's going on. But it's possible. So you have to go with the roiv.
That's why by Mishmech Lachon we say the mother's name. Because it's Batuach, it's not a roiv.
Wow. Okay. I hope that's not the reason. So it's interesting. Doesn't sound right.
For the Torah to cover doesn't make that much of a difference, but from Mishabech Lachem.
I don't know, but when somebody dies and they do a yort set, you say their father's name.
Okay. Mimai says the Gemara, Dilma kigoin shahayu avivim chavushim beis asurim. No. Oh, I got to tell you this real quickly. By the Soil Azazel, I want to go back Soil Azazel because I got to stick in a little bit of something. But by the Shabbaton, Reb Dudi Braverman said a Moedik Vart. I have to start using it with my children a little bit. I have to remember. He's talking to a group of non-affiliated teenagers, and he was convincing them that's kedai to be frum, whatever. So one of the guys said, "Wait a minute, but we're really enjoying life here." And they all go, "Yeah, we're enjoying life. Why do we want to be frum?" Blah, blah. So he said, "I wanted to give you a mashal." He says, a guy, he jumped off the Azrieli Towers, a 40-story building. And as he's flying through the air, some guy on the 20th floor opened up the window and said, "Hey, how are you liking it?" He said, "I'm loving it. The view is unbelievable. It's like literally like jumping out of a plane. It's so exhilarating. It's geschmack. I'm flying. The wind is blowing through my." And then 10 seconds later, poof. He says, "Yeah, for you shkoyach. Right now you're enjoying yourself, but you're like a freight train into the ground. You're going. Where are you going? Yeah, you shkoyach right now. Yeah." It's not going to work with teenagers. It works with teenagers. Such a. Yeah. It's not bad. It's not bad. Just reminded by the Sarla Azar. He's Evarim. Fine. Akopanim says the Gemara over here. I'll give you a case where it's 100% the father. Why? Because the mother and the father were locked up in a prison in one room, and the only ability, the only possibility is that he's the father. Says Gemara, even so, there's no such thing. There's a concept that there's no guarantee when it comes to arayis. It's a famous line, but it's a true line. I think it's an important line without getting into any crazy details. But I know from first-hand stories of people that you wouldn't believe, people that are mamish, very, very Tmimizdik and Yirei Shamayim. I'll call them Yirei Shamayim. Both men and women. And that's the Chiddush. Put in certain situations, as the Yerushalmi says, the Yerushalmi says, even a Chassid Shebechasidim, he says, Ein apitrobas la'arayis. There's no such thing as somebody says, "Oh, I'm above that." Everybody, we had a few times in Chashiv Gdoilim, Rabbanim, Bizman Hazeh, so many stories that people are nichshal. And that's why everybody should, if they can, be careful where you put yourself, what work line you're at, Okay, now without going into the just one Maisa of rebellion. Yeah, because it's if you know these things, if you know what's going on in the real world, I'm talking about the most honest, normal tzaddikim shebit tzaddikim, tzidkoni shebit tzidkoni. Everybody's nichshal at the end of the day. If put in the wrong situation or the right situation, call it whatever you want. Do not put yourself in that situation. Bachar came to Rebbe, and he said, "I want to go to a chasana." So he says, "Okay, where is it?" He says, "Over here." He says, "So you're going to go through the Tachana Merkazit in Tel Aviv?" He says, "Yeah." He says, "But what about Shmir Sinai, whatever?" He says, "It's not mashpia on me." He says, So Rebbe tells me, "Okay, you can go to the chasana, but make sure on the way back you go see a doctor." So he says, "Yeah, I'm 80 years old and I have issues. You're a bacher, of course you have issues. So if you're going to tell me that you don't have issues, you should go see a doctor." Ein abitropos la'arayis. Huh?
Krum tinka. Krum.
Rav Kahana Omar, Asim Horigas Nefesh. How much time do we have? -1 minute. Okay, so what should we do?
Keep going a little bit more.
We'll do a little bit more. No, we'll finish the rest later. We'll be Kiddush Hashem. Rav Kahana Omar, Asim Horigas Nefesh. We learn it from a killer. The Omar Achmona Katle. You should kill a killer. Somebody killed another human being, you kill him. But maybe the person that died, the victim, maybe he was a treifa. And when a person kills a treifa, it's asur, of course, but you can't kill him. So why do you kill him? Because the roiv people are not treifas. He has an intact membrane. Maybe you should do an autopsy and check it out. You can't do that because it's not right it's a bezoyna mace. You're making, it's disgusting to do so to a dead person, cut him up. But listen, you want to kill somebody, so you can't kill him until you do an autopsy. Maybe in order to save his life, you should do an autopsy. And from here, they want to bring rayas. Could you do autopsies? This nivel, is it the raisa? Is it the rabbanon? Can you do it in certain situations, which is very important for koch nefesh, etc. V'neichosh, says Gemara. At the end of the day, maybe you should be concerned that something like this, maybe the bullet that he shot went right through a hole that was pre-existing in the guy's heart. Or, here, this is in an animal. Here's a hole in the trachea, and this would make the animal a treifa. And then comes along the shoichet, which we're going to say that that's actually a case in the Gemara, but also in a human being. Maybe the knife that he used went right through a pre-existing wound that made him a treifa. So Mela, I will never know if this guy was a treifa or not, and I guess I have to be samech on a roiv. Rabbi say, okay, we're not stopping, we're not finishing the shir.
Continue.
Frektoisves. Frektoisves. But there's a way to kill somebody without causing a wound at all, where you don't have the chashash of maybe it went through a hole or not a hole, and that is if you submerge him in water. You kill him by drowning him. Over there's no wound. Okay, I am B'taisvis, to be continued, hopefully, in the airport or on the way to the airport. Rabbi Sai, we're here in Madrid, in the Bet Chabad, Murdik. We tried to do this piece of Gemara last night at 2 a.m. We thought it went, but I guess it didn't go. Or it went, it wasn't great. So we're going to do it again. This is the tircha, the traveling. We're in Milva Sugi Daf Yud Aleph Hamad Beis, 10 daf into Masechtas Chullin, a beautiful sugya, and 10 shitas of why we go with roiv when it's roiv the lesser kamon. When you have a roiv that you can't count, how do we know we go with the majority? We're holding by Ravina. Ravina Omar Asya Me'edim Zomim. Edim Zomim is very interesting. You'll see in the chart here, hopefully Ariel sticks it in. We have by the way, we're just recording off of a phone now. Nothing fancy, just to get it out. So maybe the audio is a little off, but it's gewaldig. Edim Zomim. When you have 2 Edim against 2 Edim, 2 against 2 is 0. Nothing happens. They makrish each other, boom. But if you have 2 Edim that testify that Ruvain is a killer, and 2 other Edim come, and they say that the first 2 Edim, they were on a cruise ship with us. It's impossible that you were able to witness the killing. You are in Madrid when that happened. So the 2 Edim that try to kill Ruvain, they said he's a killer, they die. You do to them exactly what they wanted to do to Ruvain. And as the Gemara is going to say later, I'm going to give you the end over here. It's only if Ruvain actually is alive. Because if they were successful and they killed Ruvain with their testimony, we do not kill them. But the Gemara proves from here Roiv. How do you prove Roiv? You do to the 2 Edim, the initial Edim, the original Edim that testified that Reuven is a killer. We do to them like they wanted to do to Reuven, and we kill them. The Gemara says, this Reuven guy, maybe he had a hole in his trachea, and therefore he's considered a treifa. Maybe he had a hole in his membrane of the brain that surrounds the brain, that plastic bag around the brain. Maybe they had a hole in it, and he's a treifa. And therefore, if you kill a treifa, you yourself don't die. It's a big isser, but you don't get misa. So why do we kill the Edim? Obviously, we rely on the Roiv and the majority. When you kill these 2 Edim, when you do an autopsy to Reuven, we open up his brain, and we see that there's no holes, and we open up his trachea, we see there's no holes. But that's impossible. Why? If Ruvain ends up dying, then we don't kill the two Edom. So you can't do an autopsy. The only time you kill the Edom is when he's alive. And when he's alive, you can't do an autopsy. Frek toisves. But then you could tell if he's a treif or not. Wait for 12 months. If he continues to live, that means he's not a treif, and he's not a treiva. Then you kill the Edom. Rav Ashi Omar, another pshat. You want to turn the camera around, or it's too much? You're nervous. Oh, you're doing some phone. Okay. We have Cheetah Man with us, anonymous Cheetah Man. We have Maya Cohen behind the Tamish Manes. We can't say anything. We have Benny and we have Dave. Givaldi. Rav Ashi Omar Asim Shchita Atzma. From every shchita, from our sugya, from Chullin, you can learn the halacha of majority of roib. Why? The Torah says just shecht and eat, and there's no issue. But wait a minute, maybe the knife went into exactly where the treifa was. There's a hole in the trachea. As you see, Ariel, you'll put the chart right now where he shechs right through a hole in the trachea, and you'll never know that he shechted that hole and it was a treifa before. And if it's a treifa, you're not allowed to eat it. But we eat meat. Is the charaya that we rely on the rive, because most tracheas don't have holes. Or Rav Ashi, so Rav Ashi is talking about his svar that he just said. Not only his own svar, I said all 10 to Rav Kahana. Rav Kahana came to Rav Shimi. Some say Rav Kahana said it over to Rav Shimi. And he said, he says, where you could go ahead and check, then go ahead and check. But where you can't, let's say there's a hole in a trachea, it's impossible to ever decipher that. You'll never know whether or not there was a hole there. So then you have to be samech on roiv. But where, let's say a regular shechita, you could check. Because if not, Remeir throughout Shas, and we just mentioned him in the beginning of Shir when it comes to Yibum, whether or not we should be choishish on a youngster, on a katan, that he might turn out to be a saris. Remeir says, yes, we got to be careful. He can't be miyabah when he's a katan. So he's choishish, he's always concerned about the minority, the miut of the miut. The miut. Remeir will never eat meat in his life. Why? Because maybe there's a not even a 1% chance that the knife cut through the hole in the kana, and therefore you'll never know if it was a proper shechita or not. Maybe the animal was a treifa. So you're going to tell me he doesn't eat meat? It's impossible. You'll say, yeah, Remeir never ate meat. He was a vegetarian. He couldn't have been a vegetarian. Why? No one could be a true vegetarian. Even vegetarians must eat the carbon pesach. A little bit of a kash on vegetarians. I'm sure they have some answers to this. And Rashi, if you look at the top Rashi over here, Rashi brings the pasuk. There's a pasuk. You should eat meat. So how's it possible? If the Torah tells you va'achlu habasar, then how could Remeir not eat meat? Says the Gemara, so you see from the fact is that Remeir eats meat. Why? Because when you could check it out, let's say by a yavam katan, the kid is 10 years old, so you wait. If you can do something about it, you do something about it. You wait 2 years. If he's 3 years old, you wait 10 years. But you could do. But when it comes to shechita, there's nothing you can do. There's no way to figure it out. Then you'll be soymach on the roiv. Where you cannot be soymach on the roiv, otherwise you'll never be able to eat meat. So you soymach. You have to be soymach on the roiv and say that l'chayra, this animal did not have a hole in its trachea, and therefore you can eat meat. And therefore, in all our cases here, when it's possible to figure things out, we figure it out. When it's impossible, then we rely on the right. Now, before we finish, Ariel could throw this on the screen. It's in one of the charts, this Rashi. So Rashi says, at the end of the day, all the 10 rayas, we had a pircha to. So then, why do we rely on a roiv, b'zman hazeh, when it comes to a roiv, the lesek hamon, a roiv that the numbers are not countable, like by a saris? We don't know how. You can't say, okay, this kid is not a saris, let's count. Like a 23 of the Sanhedrin where you can count 12 and 11. when it comes to Asaris, you can't get it. It's just majority of the world, and that's the reason. So how come we rely on Rav? So Rashi says, Elavadai halach l'Moshe Sinai. One pshat in Rashi is that it's halach. Moshe Rabbeinu received this from HaKadosh Baruch Hu in Sinai, and that's it. We don't have a clear-cut raya from an apostle. Even when you could figure it out, wait a few years, you don't have to, says Rashi, because Moshe Rabbeinu got it from Rebbeinu Shalom, Yisomich HaRoy. Inam Yachar Rabban Lahatis, he brings another thing, Mashma Ben Ruba, the Issachar Ben Ruba, the Lessachar, okay. And then Rashi says something super interesting. If we're Samech on Roy, that explains why, when we shecht an animal, we don't have to check all 18 treifas. He says, V'ham milsa samchinon, and this is what we rely on, the loy batkin kol shmona esrei treifas. We don't check all 18. Unekuvas hareya. However, we know that we do check the lungs. Why do we check lungs, asks Rashi? It's one of the 18. Because it's very common to find a hole in it, and therefore we check it. And then says Rashi, a secret that you're not allowed to tell anyone about. If it occurred that the lung disappeared and you didn't check this particular lung, what do? Do you eat the animal or not? It's very common that there's holes in the lung. Says Rashi, misachla. You're allowed to eat this animal. Why? The samchina aha. You can rely on what we just said. That Yisomich HaRoy. V'adirav huna da Omar nishchad b'cheskes heter imedes, that anything that's shechted has a chazaka of heter. And then Rashi says these unbelievable words. Ve'ein mefarsim imadavar. Keep this anonymous, and like we do in the shir, when people ask to remain anonymous, we keep them anonymous. Rabbi Sai, have a wonderful day. And Be'ez Hashem, we'll see you later from Morocco.
Merit the schus of spreading Torah throughout the world. Sponsor a shir today. MDYsponsor.com or sponsor at MDYDaf.com.